You are here.
Yeah. I'm Batman.
These videos are not for children. If you're a children, then piss off.
Hey there, it's me, your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso. And I'm just going to give a quick off-the-cuff review of The Flash. I'm going to speed right to the point like I'm Barry Allen. The Flash is a good movie. And not just a good movie, but maybe actually kind of a great movie. If my words are surprising you, just know that they're surprising me as well. I have seen this movie twice already, which is exactly 2 more times than I usually go out to see a movie in the theater. But I was surprisingly not at all disappointed by this. It is much better than I had hoped, and way better than I anticipated. I was going into this expecting the absolute worst, but what I got was in fact the best, at least in terms of my opinion. At least, in my opinion. There's no hyperbole here when I say, The Flash is the best DCEU movie. I would probably put it on par with Zack Snyder's Justice League, though the two are total tonal opposite. It's a completely different feeling. There's just so much to love with this movie. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna shill my ass off for this because this is the first DC film that I've seen in a while that I really genuinely loved. I'm actually surprisingly quite passionate about this movie. And look, I know a lot of people are upset with Ezra Miller existing, because they're probably one of the most problematic people to ever walk a red carpet, and that's really saying something. As a person, I can't speak for them. I don't know who they are. I know what I've heard, and I don't like those things. But as an actor, I think Ezra's really come into their own. This movie offers up the character that we know, but we see him in a new light. It doesn't do anything that conflicts his previous, characterization. It's just that character is no longer just being played for a punchline. His frantic nature in the Justice League films is really just a comedy fodder. But in The Flash, we see how overwhelming the whole hero gig is, and how much of a toll all of this takes on him. It gave me a really great understanding for the Barry Allen character, this Barry Allen character specifically. I gotta be honest with you, I sat down to record a video on The Flash, and my video was an hour long. And I don't want to put out hour-long videos unless I have accompanying footage and the background tracks. I want it to look professional. I'm not putting out 50 minutes of me just talking to you guys about The Flash without making it a video essay. I would never do that to you. I don't think anybody has any desire for that, and I have no desire to do it myself, so. Suffice it to say, I have a lot to say. I really love this movie. And honestly, I would highly suggest to anybody who's a DC fan, or to anybody who just wants to see something different. What I loved about it is that it took a story that I'm familiar with, and it did things that I was not familiar with. I couldn't see the twists and turns even though I thought I knew the formula. The Flash is based on the Flashpoint story, and there are a lot of elements from the story itself, like the accompanying plot itself is pretty much that exact tale, but the events unfold quite differently. There wasn't a bad performance in the movie. Look, I went into this for 2 reasons, and both of those reasons were Batman. And I was not disappointed. I know that a lot of people have been making the joke that this is actually Batman No Way Home. This is more of a Batman movie than it is a Flash movie. And I totally understand how that could be perceived that way, especially because it seems like the marketing really wants you to think that you're going to see a Batman movie. But that's not the case. This movie's not confused about its identity whatsoever. This is not a Batman movie masquerading around as a Flash film. This is a Flash film that just so happens to have Batman in a good chunk of it. While the return of Batman Returns obviously overshadows Ezra's first solo outing as the Flash, it doesn't change the fact that the Flash is the heart of this movie. Batman makes considerable contribution. He's a major player in the story, but Ezra Miller's Flash is the star of the show. What's really weird for me is that while Michael Keaton feels like he hasn't skipped a beat as Batman, Ben Affleck feels like he skipped whole albums. I don't know, it just feels very, very different. He's not using the voice modulator at all anymore, and even when he's not being Batman, he's still talking in his Batman voice. He's also making these weird facial expressions. I'm not entirely sure what he's going for. That's not to say that it's bad, it's just different, and I'm not really sure what prompted the change. Speaking about different, you got this version of Supergirl, who is different from any Supergirl I've ever seen. I think what really annoys me about this is that there are people who are online trying to trash this movie, but what's missing from their critiques is the context. There are people saying that Michael Keaton seems tired and over it because they saw a scene where he sighs and says, "I'm Batman." Completely neglecting that the context of that scene is that he's over that. He's like, yeah, I'm Batman. Let's move on. I'm tired of saying this. I've been saying it for at least 4 decades. Michael Keaton's great. He still comes across as the character, and even after all these years, I could still look at that guy and go, that's Batman. There are people out there who are commenting on Sasha's take on Supergirl, saying that she's too dark and she's too brutal, asking where all the people who were complaining about Superman killing in those movies were for Supergirl. What's missing, once again, is the context. This Kara is not the Kara that we know. She does not have Superman's upbringing. She also doesn't even have Supergirl's upbringing. She was kept in captivity since she came to the planet. She was held as a prisoner, neglected, and was malnourished. All intentionally. She does not have the love or compassion for humanity that either the Superman that we know in these movies or the Supergirl that we know in the comics had. She flat out says that she does not love humanity. She's Kryptonian. So no, I would not hold this Supergirl to the same standard that we held that Superman. Because it's not supposed to be the same. This is not an adaptation of Supergirl. This is an Elseworld version of Supergirl, where the circumstances of her being Supergirl are considerably different. It just annoys me because it feels like every critique I have read about this movie is easily explained away for the people who have sat through and watched the movie. I've seen this movie twice with 2 different groups of people, and both times the people I went to the movies with loved it, and the audience that I watched the movie with applauded. In my personal life, I have not met one person who dislikes this movie. On the internet, though, that is all I've seen. So for those of you who are chronically online, get out your house and go to a movie theater. I don't want to give too much away. I will undoubtedly do a huge review. I've already started writing it, and it's way too many pages already. I sat down and tried to record it. I realized that was not the right route at this moment, but I have a huge review in the future about every little detail of this film. I also see a lot of people dunking on the special effects of the movie, and look, I'm not going to deny there's certain elements to this movie that I question. I'm not a huge fan of every one of the Flash's abilities. Some of them just look a little strange, but then I also think about what they are. How else could you visualize that? Most of his powers shouldn't really be seen. And let me tell you something, there are 2 things that we have not perfected in the effects department, and those are animated babies and underwater physics, okay? Neither one of them are too great right now. But these little fake bundles of joy just straight up remind me of Son of the Mask. They are a little bit unsettling, a little bit off-putting, 100% totally valid to criticize. But where people really start to lose the plot is when it gets to the Speed Force. I heard a lot of people compare this to like a PlayStation cutscene, and look, I get it, that's funny, but I think what you're forgetting is that it's supposed to look like this. It's meant to be Uncanny Valley. I mean, it's 2023. Do you think one of the biggest studios in the world, like the best their budget could offer up, is Polar Express? No, of course not. If you really were under the impression that these effects look bad, not by design, but by happenstance, by mistake, or just a lack of budget, I'd like you to really think about this. Why would they spend extra money digitally recreating moments from the previous films when they could very easily just recycle and repurpose the previously filmed footage? It would both visually look more realistic and also be much more cost-effective. If that really was the goal, why not do that? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And also, most of the people who are shown in the Speed Force were contracted to be in the movie. You see people who are acting in the movie in the Speed Force. Why not just get them film their part? The logic is not there on this one. I get that it might look weird for some, but it's supposed to look weird. Flash is essentially outside of not just our universe, but universes in general. He's where all realities merge and meet, and he's looking back into the fabric of all potential realities. It should be unsettling. That's a really unsettling thought. I like the Uncanny Valley look, personally. This movie is borderline bizarre at times, and it wastes no time getting to the strangest parts. That opening sequence is horrifically hilarious. Look, I have a lot to say about this movie, and in due time, I will say a lot about this movie. But for now, what I will say is if you were hesitant, please proceed with caution, because this movie's worth the risk. I didn't just like it, I loved it. I was going into this expecting to hate it. I thought I'd love a couple of the nostalgia factors that the movie was offering me, but I wound up loving the movie warts and all. I don't say this for a lot of films, but I truly mean this here. It's actually pretty damn great. The pacing was perfect, the comedy didn't feel forced, the fan service was there, but it wasn't overbearing. This movie felt purposeful. It felt like it had a story to tell, and it masterfully told it. If you haven't already, I highly suggest checking out The Flash. It is what I personally consider to be the best DCEU film, but also one of the best DC films maybe ever. So if you haven't seen it, go out and see it. I would be genuinely surprised if you were disappointed. Now, at this point in the video, I usually ask you guys to recite a phrase just to let me know that you enjoyed the content. In lieu of that today, I want to give a shout out to JoJo at the AMC. There was a little bit of an issue there with me and my group's tickets. JoJo was my Barry Allen that night, came in with the save in record time, and recognized me, told me he enjoys my content. Joe, you are on a short list of people I do not despise. You seem like a very pleasant person, and I thank you for your kindness. If you like this video and would be interested in seeing more, let me know in the comment section below by giving JoJo some love. With all that being said, I was your least favorite YouTuber, Infuso, and I truly thank you watching. Hope to see you in the next one.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.